You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles. Here's Eddie Garcia.
In Major League Baseball, checking the playoff races, we now have 5 days left in the regular season. The Astros clinch a fourth straight AFC West title with a 4-3 win over the Mariners. Orioles clinch a playoff spot, beating the Yankees 5-3 despite Aaron Judge hitting his 56th home run of the year for New York. Padres clinch a playoff spot, beating the Dodgers 4-2. San Diego ends the game with a triple play. They're 2 games back of LA for first in the NL West. Braves over the Mets 5-1, while the Diamondbacks were shut out by the Giants 11-0. Atlanta's now a half game back of Arizona for the final wildcard spot in the National League. Tigers get by the Rays 2-1. Royals edge the Nationals 1-0 in 10 innings, while the Twins lose to the Marlins 4-1. So Detroit and Kansas City are both 2 games up on Minnesota for the last wildcard spot in the American League. White Sox beat the Angels 3-2, so Chicago is still at 120 losses. They're still 1 away from breaking the record for most losses in a single season.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take it. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. I'm Xavier Houston. Of course, always joining with Martin. And we have Chase pressing all the right buttons as we kick off this Wednesday edition. It is a Would You Rather Wednesday. And we have Would You Rather have Jalen Milroe versus or Carson Beck, and why? Oh, this one is what I love. Tim Brando has a new top 15, and Alabama has made an appearance. We also will be talking, is Alabama ready for this game, and the grades on college football and more. But remember, you can join us here on Facebook Live or on the radio airwaves. That kicking it over to you.
All right. Good morning. So glad you guys have got up and guys and gals have got up and at 'em with us on this beautiful Wednesday morning. As Xavier mentioned, it's a Would You Rather Wednesday. And actually, the way we're gonna do that, I like for both of us we're gonna both defend the other one. We're gonna both say why we would have the other guy, or whichever. We're gonna both take a turn on why Jalen versus Beck. And then Beck versus Jalen. We'll try to figure it out. So I'll give you some time to think on that a little bit. But yeah, Tim Brando. Yeah, right there. I went back and actually pulled up his prior poll.
I still got it.
Yeah, where he had Alabama ranked outside of the top 15. Just out though. They were just out. They were just out. That's all. Just outside of the top 15 teams in the country. And so I guess, they got better over bye week. But anyway, we'll invite you to get in on that conversation this morning. And as X mentioned, you can get in on the Facebook page at the Martin Houston Show on Facebook. Thanks to all those who listen in on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you guys so much for being part of the program. Thank you to all of those who listen in on the app, the Tide 109 app, all over the country. And and interact with us there. And then, of course, all of those who listen in on the radio airwaves, we welcome you in. You can put your thoughts and your comments in all of those different places. The app is the one that sometimes is delayed getting to us before I get off the air. But if I see it, I'll get it, bring that in. We bring all the comments we can in from the live stream chat. And then, of course, if you're on the phone lines, radio airways, you can always call us on the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions hotline at 205-342-9904. That's the Empowerment Strategies and Solutions hotline, empowermentstrategy.com, empowerment with an M. We'd love to have you in on the conversation this morning. And remember that this is a day that the Lord has made. Rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, be the difference you want to see in the world. And as we kick things off, I want to remind you that this is the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. Take it away, son.
All right. Of course, I sent this to you last night, and I said, this is what I want to talk about. And that is Tim Brando's Timmy B's top 15 after 4 weeks of play. And do you have it pulled up, like, right off the bat from last time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Can you read that off? Can you read that off for after 3 weeks of play?
Going from top ranked team to lowest ranked team is Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Miami. That's the top 5. 6 through 10 is Missouri, Utah, Oregon, Tennessee, Kansas State. That's 6 through 10. And then 11 through 15 is USC, Penn State, Oklahoma State, Nebraska, and Iowa State. And then putting in the same category, just out, he had Alabama and Northern Illinois.
All right. So Alabama, after a 42-10 win, after not having a game closer than was 49-16, 42-16, whatever it was, 42-16 against South Florida, and a 60 blowout shutout win against Western Kentucky. Alabama was outside the top 15. But this week it is.
Hold on, before you go
Texas.
To that, before you go to what Alabama did, I need you to. I need some answers on. Let's because we can hold Alabama. Let's talk about what he has in there, X, before last week. Above Alabama, sitting at number 4 is Ole Miss, based on what?
Ole Miss over
Ole Miss played Furman, Middle Tennessee, Wake Forest, a team who paid. Listen to what Wake Forest did. You know what they did, X? They immediately.
What they did?
I talked to an Ole Miss fan. They immediately paid Ole Miss so they wouldn't have to play them next year. Did you hear that?
So they wouldn't have to come. They wouldn't have to come to Ole Miss next year.
And then Georgia Southern. That's their 4 games. And they had not played Georgia Southern yet. And they didn't really run all over Georgia Southern compared to what they'd done others. But those first 3 games, for you to put Ole Miss in there based off of off-season hype, maybe? Okay. Let me see who else he had in there. Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Nebraska, Iowa State. I mean, what was he thinking? So some of the other teams I could see. How you have Oregon in there with the way they started the season off?
Right. Well, Curtis Moore said when we beat Georgia on Saturday, he'll rank us 7-6. No way Bama will reach the top 4 on Brando's. Well, Curtis, that might not be true because in this week's, he has the top 5 are the exact same. Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Miami. Miami beat South Florida essentially about the same score that Alabama did. They looked a little better doing it, but roughly the same score. I think it was 45-15.
Yeah, but it should have been going down the stretch. Could have been, not should have been. Could have been. They were losing 22-15. X. They left 2 touchdowns on the field and gave up a really late touchdown at the half because they didn't get scores. Right. They made mistakes. So they could have been up 2 scores on Miami at halftime. And now Miami was clearly the better team. Go ahead.
Right. But then as Tennessee moves up to 6, Alabama's at 7 after not playing.
Okay.
After not playing the game.
How do you not put Tennessee in front of Ole Miss? I do not like Tennessee. They're a bunch of garbage. No, just kidding. How do you not put Tennessee in front of? Because if this was just poor, if this was a regular person who ranked this, we would think that they have not seen a football game this year.
Right.
And for him to have Ole Miss sitting at number 4 over Tennessee. Because based on this, Tennessee has the biggest win of the year so far, right?
You could say Texas.
No. Where was Michigan ranked when Texas played them?
They were top 10.
Top 10. So Texas will have the biggest win. And now he's moved Michigan back into it because they beat a team called USC. And they beat them running the ball. Okay. I don't know how good USC is. Everybody went all off on USC because of them beating LSU. And we saw that South Carolina was mud stomping LSU till their quarterback got hurt. So I don't know how good LSU is. Huh?
And still got cheated.
Yeah. And had touchdowns come off the ground, off the board. And still barely lost. So anyway, I'm sorry. I know we're going to talk about Alabama, but the irony of it is if you listen to the opening of my show, that's Tim Brando calling my touchdown. But the guy it's like he has become the Howard Stern of college analysts. He does things that makes zero sense and makes him look really bad.
Right.
I mean, it just makes
he's an LSU homer.
Yeah, but I'm an Alabama homer. But that would be stupid of me to get on here and put Georgia at 8 or 10 or 12. That'd be stupid.
Right.
I mean, based on what? How do you?
I don't know.
How do you pick? How do you at this point even say that there's 6 teams? First of all, he was saying that there was 15 teams better than Alabama after week 3, X. And that means that he had what? He had to have had us lower than that.
Right.
If we were at 15 after 3 weeks and after beating Wisconsin, where were we at before we beat Wisconsin?
Right.
Okay?
No telling.
And the only reason he does this in the middle of the pack is because he know how stupid he's gonna look. If Alabama wins this game, and here he is, a professional analyst, and he has Alabama. We're gonna get the break, X. Hey, come back on the other side, X. I apologize. I derailed the conversation a little bit, but it's just guys like that just bother me. Coming back on the other side, we'll keep the conversation rolling. But before we get out of here, hey, don't forget to go check out Box Eye Care, Daniel Box and his team. 205-342-0660, the phone number you can call. Man, if you haven't seen their new location, you need to just stop by 5003 Oscar Baxter Drive and check them out. Great team, great staff, great location, great service, large inventory, very comprehensive inventory, and a new in-house lab. So they're setting the standard for vision care at Box Eye Care, boxeyecare.com. You can go there, find out more information, get your appointment set up. But if you're old school, 205-342-0660. That's Box Eye Care, boxeyecare.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good morning to you and happy hump day. Starting out with a couple of issues in the area. First on Veterans Memorial Parkway northbound near University Boulevard. Watch out for this fender bender. It's already causing a slight tap on the brakes as you maneuver around it. And we've also got some traffic.
Be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text support to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Cloudy with occasional rain across West Alabama today and tonight. The high today 79, the low tonight 64. Tomorrow rain likely much of the day, becoming breezy. The rain can be heavy at times tomorrow night. The daytime high 74. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care. It's a Wild Card Wednesday, and we invite you to get in on the program, 205-342-9904. That's Empowerment Strategy Solutions Hotline. I want to thank the good folks over at Dixie Battery Supply. Dixie Battery Supply, 205-758-9190. Hey, they buy junk batteries. They can get you in and out with a reconditioned battery starting at $39.99 plus tax with an exchange. But when you're looking for commercial batteries or batteries of all types, they have the battery that can take care of what you need. Power up any device. Come to the battery store in Northport and or Tuscaloosa, and that's Dixie Battery Supply. You'll never feel powerless again. That's Dixie Battery Supply. Golf carts, speed boats, cars, scooters, motorcycles, etc. They have the battery that you need and are looking for. And don't forget, they can also help you get into that golf cart as well. So go check out Dixie Battery Supply. That's DixieBatterySupply.com. All right. X, I'm going to see, I want you to listen to this and tell me what you think. And then we'll quickly keep the conversation going.
Well, Dad, evidently Tim thinks that Bye is really good.
Hell yeah.
He did not.
Hell yeah, they're good.
He did not have.
Hell yeah.
He did not have Alabama ranked in the top 15. Then they played Bye, and they went all the way to number 7. Tim.
Exactly. And you know why?
There's people here
and
that
you know
say
why?
you'd hate Alabama. Talk to
well,
us.
yeah, but first and foremost, Bye is not a loss. Okay,
No.
And bye is a week when you can get better, right? That's what the coaches always say, right? We used our bye week to get better. Isn't that their cliche? I believe they use that all the time. But no, the truth is teams in front of them played poorly last week. I dropped a number of teams, okay, by example. And even though they may still be in it, Missouri barely got past Vanderbilt at home. That's an example. I dropped them. I drop a lot of teams. Kansas State, who looked really good, lost to BYU badly. Now, the game was in Provo, but they lost. When teams above you
And frankly, Alabama, after their first two games, especially the South Florida game, in my opinion, was highly overrated by everybody. Now, the way I view it is completely different from the way the pollsters view it. The Alabama fans and Alabama people in general are accustomed to being ranked based on their brand, not their performance. I gave up my AP vote a long time ago when they were part of the BCS, and I loathe the BCS, as everybody knows. So when I found out that they were using that the Bowl Championship Series was using that as part of their process, I said I don't want to vote anymore with the AP because I think it's a joke because they just stockpile the biggest names. And I don't think a lot of the teams that are playing the best football week by week are ranked. So on a sliding scale with me, you can go from week to week to unranked to number 7 or higher if you really perform well. But I'll also drop you 10 or 11 spots if you have a bad game, even if you're Georgia, Bama, Oregon. I dropped Oregon, who was my preseason number 1. I believe they're going to win it all this year. Okay, you guys go back and look at my preseason poll. I had them number 1. They played so poorly in their opening game, I dropped them to 11. I dropped them 10 spots. So, what I did with Alabama is not uncommon in my poll. Weekly, I base it solely on performance, not what they did the week before, not what their image and reputation is, solely on their performance the week before.
So, X, I'll toss it to you. He's saying solely on performance. So, he's saying that after beating Wisconsin, now you take it.
That's what doesn't make sense. Because, okay, Alabama played horrible against South Florida by his standard. Cool, drop us 10 spots. But then we came back and had a dominant performance after Wisconsin. Well, last week, after that Wisconsin game, you still had Alabama outside of the top 15. You had Oregon, who didn't just look bad at week 1, but struggled week 2 against Fresno State. Didn't look great against a Boise State team, even though Boise State's a really good group of 5 school. Boise State's running back had 200-some yards rushing.
And they were at number 8.
And they were at number 8. Georgia barely beat Kentucky. Why were they still in your top 3?
Top 2.
Top 2. His logic doesn't his words don't back up what he did.
His logic makes him look like a liar. That's what his logic makes him look like. And he even said, well, because it was bye week and you get better during the bye week, and then he called it a coach's cliche. Okay, so is it legit that to get better, or is it a cliche? Anyway, take it to the phones.
We got Robert on the phone line to talk about Brando and his top 15. Go ahead, Robert, what you got?
Hey, the question is, why do I listen to you guys? Or Ryan, or a bunch of other sports broadcasters? Because I value your opinion. I think your opinion is based on a good logic and reason, and so that's why I listen, because I value your opinion. If you all gave me opinions like this Tim Brando, I would never call back. I would think you're the biggest idiot. How in the world do you keep a show? That's what I would be thinking at that point. It's like, come on, dude. You have no logic at all. I'm quintessential logical in my thinking, and just give me some reason that right now it just seems like it's based on your feeling at the time.
That's
with
right.
Everything. And even that is not logic. There's no pattern in that either. Because, like you said, Tennessee is not higher than that. And what you said about Georgia, if you're going to base it week to week on how you play in that particular day, which again is really stupid, because it's not how teams, like we kept saying. Hey, the team that played Kentucky with Georgia, not going to be the team that plays Alabama Saturday. Same way, if Wisconsin thought the team that showed up against South Florida was what they were going to see on Saturday, which coach in their right mind would have thought that would have been crazy. They know better. The teams are going to have a hard time getting up for games that they should blow out. I mean, it's just how they are. and they get geared up for games that they know is going to be tight. Tim Brando should know that, but I'm beginning to think he just really either really doesn't know it, or this is a grip. He wants to do what we're doing right now, talk about how stupid it is. But man, me just talking about how stupid your opinions are, well, that means I don't value them. That means I have no reason to listen to you.
Right. Yeah, and that's
it doesn't make sense. His logic is flawed. His logic makes him look like a liar. It's just a bad look because I don't get how a team jumps 8 spots after. You give the excuse, 9 spots because we were outside the top 15. So at best we were 16. So we jumped 9 spots because other teams played bad. But we didn't play anybody. But you just said the previous 2 games, he knocks the Wisconsin win because Tyler Van Dyke got hurt. And then he says it was a bad performance overall against South Florida. So how do we still move up 9 spots at minimum, maybe 10, because we don't know if he had Northern Illinois in front of us because they beat Notre Dame. It just doesn't equal up.
And when everybody don't have the same difficulty of schedule, the next thing you fall to is, okay, they're not playing each other, so what I fall to next to try to rank this? I fall to, you guys normally fall under, well, who's more likely to beat who on a neutral site? Right. That's generally how you tend to do it. Yeah. Once you do that, you know full well you cannot rank Phil or some of these other teams ahead of Alabama. It's just ridiculous. But he's not serious. I don't listen to him anymore anyway. I used to halfway like him when he was at CBS a long time ago, but he's falling off the rail.
Yeah, I don't listen to him. He's on either, I don't know where he's at, Fox, or I don't know which station he's on. I don't listen to him at all. So you got a score for us, Robert? You got a score yet?
Man, I always forget what I told Ryan. I think I said 30-27, I believe. 30-23. 30-23. I think Alabama wins 30-23.
And Georgia yards.
Whose yards?
Georgia's total yards.
Oh, let's see. I'm going to go 315.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it. Logic out the window.
All right. We've got J-Rob joining us on the Empowerment Strategy Solutions Hotline. How you doing this morning, J-Rob?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing good. I hope everything's well with you.
All is well.
Yes, sir.
All right. Hey, I'm not going to talk about Tim Brando's ignorance. That's exactly what he wants to do. That's what he wants us to do. And you know, Robert hit the nail on the head when he said that's what he wanted us to do, talk about it. So I'm not going to. I think the Alabama Georgia game it's going to be a close game in the first half. I think that we got about the same athletes on both sides of the ball for each team. I think that, but I do think that Kentucky proved last week or week before last that Georgia can be run on right down the middle of their heart of their defense. So I think that's what we're going to try to do. I think we're going to try to be balanced. I think Georgia is going to try to do the same thing to us, but you know how hard-headed Kirby is. He's going to try to impose his will. He's a Nick Saban-alike. He tried to copy the plan. He's going to try to run the ball and pass when he has to, just enough to keep us off guard and play defense, and that's his game. That's the way he is. What do you guys think about that?
I definitely think that he is going to try to do what Georgia does, and of course that involves running the ball. And he will probably pull a page from Coach Stallings, run it until they stop it, and then run it again just to make sure that they can stop it with their approach. This team isn't as dominant up front on the offensive side as they were last year, even though they have a lot of the same guys back. But I think the injury with Ratledge might throw things up a little bit. So I think Georgia's going to try to beat Georgia at the end of the day.
I agree with that, J-Rob, and I don't think that they are the Georgia of old. And one of the things we're going to do probably tomorrow is do a position-by-position comparison. We say Georgia has the same athletes as we do. Do they? We'll talk about it. You got a score for us on the Alabama Legacy Collection score prediction? You got a score for me? J-Rob?
I do have a score, but one more thing. I think Coach DeBoer has not opened up his toolbox all the way yet. I think he might do that Saturday night. So,
without a doubt,
some things we hadn't seen. Yeah, I think both coach. Yeah, just like you said, both of them. But my score is 34-20. The good guys, and Georgia will have 320 yards.
All right. Thanks, J-Rob. As we get the break here, we'll be back. Roll Tide. We'll be back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling. We'll wrap up the Tim Brando conversation on the other side, and we'll do our Would You Rather, Jalen Milroe or Carson Beck. X and I are going to just have a little conversation there. Thanks for being a part of the program. We'll be back in just a moment.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. A very good morning to you and happy hump day. Starting out with a couple of issues in the area. First on Veterans Memorial Parkway northbound near University Boulevard. Watch out for this fender bender. It's already causing a slight tap on the brakes as you maneuver around it. And we've also got
of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by Box Eye Care, North River Timber Company, LLC, timber harvesting, appraisals, and land management, serving West Alabama. And now I have a crew that's also serving East Mississippi. So if you're looking to get purchase land, get land appraised, looking how to manage that land and property you have, or harvested timber, you need to call Courtney White and his team. 11 years plus as a registered forester. Courtney White and Chase Pearson can take care of you. 205-242-5127, 205-242-5127, or email northrivertimberco@gmail.com.
We get ready to kick off the second half. We'll wrap up the Tim Brando conversation with Philip. How you doing this morning, Philip?
I remember about his ranking after the Alabama demolishment of Wisconsin, which was, the week he didn't have us in his top 12 or 15, whatever it was. But I don't know if you guys remember that poll or not. I'm trying to scroll his Twitter page, his X page, to find it.
I got it.
Okay. Well, one team he did rate in his top 12 or whatever it was Iowa State. And guess who Iowa State played the weekend Alabama played Wisconsin?
Who?
They didn't play anybody.
Well, I mean, it's you can take any of these teams. Look how many teams in front of Alabama lost. Kansas State, USC, Oklahoma State, Iowa State. All of those teams lost. That's his top 15 teams. I just look at the ones, just those right there. That's not counting Missouri almost losing. Ole Miss not playing anybody. So, I mean, that's just anyway. He said week to week.
But that just astounds me. The week that Alabama beat Wisconsin, and he doesn't rate Alabama in his top whatever, but he does rate Iowa State, and Iowa State didn't even play.
Yeah. Well, but Philip, we jumped from outside to number 7 and didn't play.
Yeah.
I will give it to Wimp and Barry jabbing him and saying, hey, Bob must be a really good opponent because Alabama went from unranked to number 7. So, which showed the stupidity of his poll, and he didn't even get it that they were dogging him.
I tell you, probably, you want me to tell you what he did? And we've all done it, but he don't want to fess up. And he tweeted, he X'd too soon. He probably just forgot. He probably just forgot. And he X'd too soon and didn't want to delete his X and just went with it.
No, that's good. Philip, you got a score for us?
I'm working on it, man. Shoot. I'm going to have to go with my heart. I'm going to go with my heart. And I think Alabama, hey, let me tell you something, man. The big key in this whole thing, they got to talk to Nick Sheridan and get his head right.
Well, why is that?
I think Alabama can exploit Georgia with good play calling. I mean, we're averaging 49 points a game. I get it. But these pass routes, we're not going to have time to run elongated pass routes. We got to get the ball in the playmakers' hands, yards after catch, get them a catchable ball, and go and just go for it. These elongated routes that take forever to run, and these screen pass plays that we haven't completed for a positive yard in 35 years. Go for just good quality, plays where these athletes that Alabama has can do something after the catch.
All right. What's that score, Phil?
Definitely agree with that.
I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to say Alabama 38-35.
All right. Total yards for Georgia.
Total yards? I will say 340.
All right. All right. Thanks. All
right. As we continue the conversation, we switch over to would you rather between Jalen Milroe and Carson Beck. So when I'm looking at this, these are two quarterbacks that have completely different skill sets and bring different things to the table, but they both do those things at a fairly high level when you look at it. And that's Jalen Milroe, his legs, his deep ball accuracy. That's what you get out of him. And with Carson Beck, he's a field manager. He's going to get the ball in his playmakers' hands quick and in a hurry. Of course, being a homer, Jalen Milroe, best quarterback. But it depends on the offense that you're going to run. I don't know if Milroe could go run Georgia's offense as successfully as Beck can and vice versa. So how do you choose between the two? What would be your differentiator?
Well, two things. One is I think that, as you said, the two styles, both of them are very good at their two styles. But I think that Milroe improves the guys around him. And what I mean by that is Kendrick Law has a touchdown this year, not because of play calling, not because of route running, but because of Jalen Milroe's legs. Prentice has a touchdown, not because of play calling, not because of route running, but because of Jalen extending the play, stepping up in the pocket, and about to take off, drawing all of the defense, boom, hit him. So when you have two really good defenses, you need a quarterback who can get off script. And so I think that's what makes Jalen better. If I was going into a matchup like this, the other side of it is we've seen what a Jalen Milroe type of quarterback who is accurate can do to a Saban Kirby style defense. So yeah. I'm not saying it just happens automatically. I'm saying it's because of his playmaking and off script ability, but he has to be accurate when he throws the ball. I also, and it's interesting, Philip said not long routes. Deep balls aren't aren't a long pass protection thing. You go back and look, the deep ball is usually a 1, 2, 3, let it go type of thing. So and I think the fact that that's his most accurate pass against Georgia gives Jalen the advantage. But if I'm going to take Carson becomes my guy if my team is more talented, if my team is better, if I have guys who can get open. I think Carson is an extremely accurate passer, and I think his numbers bear that out. I just don't think he's the playmaker that let's call it. So if the run game is going for Georgia and Bobo is calling good plays and their receivers are getting open, Georgia is a tough team to beat with Carson back. So if I had a dominant defense and a really, really strong offensive line that could run the ball, then I say back. But I'm taking Milroe. I'd rather have Milroe because he gives me the ability in a tight game. He's the X factor.
Yeah, he makes you cover that one extra guy, have an eye out for that one extra playmaker on the field because of the things he can do with his leg. And he's gotten better of moving off of that original spot and then finding the guy. And that's what you talked about with Law's touchdown and Prentice's touchdown. And I think that's what gives that athleticism, that moving off the spot. If Beck is able to sit back there in a pocket, not have a lot of pressure, he will eat you alive. Yeah. Because Georgia has the playmakers at wide receiver, tight end, getting the ball out of the backfield to the running backs. He can sit back there and pick you apart. But if that pressure comes, if he gets moved off of his spot, you give the edge to Jalen without a doubt because of his legs and his ability to continue to look downfield, which is something that he's worked on from last year. A lot of times, like, once Jalen took off, that was it. Like, once those legs started moving, he was going to run the ball. But we've seen multiple times through games this year, hey, he's still looking for that wide receiver. He's still looking for that guy that he can get the ball out of his hands that can make a bigger play. So I think that's what the separation is as well. If both of these defenses are able to move the quarterback off their spot, Jalen gets the edge.
Yeah, and I also think that we get the advantage. Nick Sheridan calling plays for Jalen Milroe, advantage Alabama over Bobo calling plays for Beck. Pat, we really only have about 30 seconds or so. I apologize. We had to get to that conversation. If you want to get in on it, go ahead and jump in before we get to break.
Hey, Jalen's the most accurate long ball thrower in the country. There's no doubt about that. That from what I understand, Georgia also has a defensive lineman that's out for this ball game. X, what do you know about that?
Yeah, Mikael Williams, he's questionable / doubtful. I haven't seen anything since Monday about it. But if he's out, that's a big step in the direction of Alabama because he's their best pass rusher and he might be their best run defender as well.
Yeah, that's what I understand. But anyway, hey guys, y'all have a blessed day, and we'll try to call earlier tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Recruiting, man. Hey, this is going to be the biggest thing that Alabama's seen in some time, y'all. But, have a great one. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks. Yeah. And we'll keep this conversation going, X. Tomorrow, we'll pick up these two guys, but then we'll do a comparison across the board, maybe some positional comparison on tomorrow, and we'll have the phone lines open. As we get the break here, we want to remind you that we'll have Scotty Hollins coming back on the other side, for the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week. Hey, give me a shout if you're looking to buy or sell, list your dream home, and that is 205-826-1381, or email martinhoustonrealestate@gmail.com. Part of the Realty One group, where we're your one source for all your real estate needs. And my mission is to make your dream come true.
Go inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Coming up at 9 o'clock Wednesday morning on the Gary Harris Show, the Hump Day edition. We're going to be loaded. Matt Coulter on NASCAR, plus Larry the Music Man. And we'll continue our conversation on Alabama versus Georgia, the game of the year so far in college football. And we'll hear from Kirby Smart, Georgia head coach, on coming back to T-Town. All that and more Wednesday morning at 9 a.m.
Catch the Gary Harris Show Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. on Tide 100.9 and Tide100.9.com.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. Looks like what we're dealing with right now are some traffic light issues, and it's Highway 69, both north and southbound at Patriot Parkway. You do want to watch out for those lights. It looks like they are completely out, so treat that like a stop sign and be very careful. Otherwise, we're starting to fill in just a bit on Lurleen Wallace North.
Today's repair and the future repairs. No overtime charges on weekends and holidays. No hassle guarantee. Adams Heating and Cooling, 205-872-0045.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, and it is now time for the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week, and we'll bring in Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. Good morning, Scotty. How you doing, sir?
Good morning, Martin. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I tossed it to you to encourage us on how we can incorporate our faith and into the boardroom, the classroom, or our chosen field of place, sir.
All right. We will continue with our series, Martin, on fundamentals that build a firm foundation. I think everybody wants a firm foundation. I think it's really important to have a firm foundation. Would you agree with that, Martin?
Totally, 100%.
Absolutely. So what are some of those fundamentals that can build a firm foundation in our life? We're still sticking with fundamental number one, which is spending time in God's Word. And we are just looking at just different things that can help us, relative to this point, spending time in God's Word. So now today we're going to actually look at, we've looked at Romans 12:2 that says, don't be conformed to the pattern of this world any longer, but be transformed or changed by renewing your mind. And that's renewing your mind with God's Word. It says, then you'll be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. And so we're looking at passages that help us understand that spending time in God's Word on a consistent basis is very important. But it's not the only important thing, Martin. It's also important not just to spend time in God's Word on a consistent basis, but to do our best to actually obey the things that we're learning in the Word. Because to know what God's Word says isn't to build a firm foundation. It's to have the ingredients, Martin, to build a foundation. It's to have the bricks. It's to have all the things, the mortar, all the pieces that you need to build a firm foundation. But when you talk about truly building, that comes from walking in obedience to his word. So today's passage is about just that and the impact that building a firm foundation can have in our lives. And so we're looking at Matthew 7:24 through 29. Actually, we'll just look at 24 through 27. So here it is. It says, therefore, everyone, listen to the details here. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a man who built his house on the rock. Sound like a firm foundation to me, Martin. It says, the rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall because it had its foundation on the rock. Wow. Now check it. On the other side, but everyone who hears my words, these words of mine, and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. Now, Martin, if you build a house, are you going to build it on sand?
Not at all.
No, sir. No, sir. It says the rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. Couple things I noticed here, and then I'm going to open it up to the preacher and let you chime in, Martin. It says, therefore, everyone who hears my words and puts them into practice. Like I said, it's not just enough to hear what he says. It's not just enough to go to church. It's not just enough to know the right thing to do. He says, everyone who hears these words and they put them into practice, that guy is like the wise man who built his house on the rock. Now, here's the other thing I noticed. Both of them heard the word, didn't they? Both of them knew the word. They heard it. They have the ingredients, Martin. But only one of them chose to put it into practice. So only one of them chose to use those ingredients to build his house on the rock, using the fundamentals to build that firm foundation. Here's the thing, though, before I let you chime in, the storm came in both of their lives. And so, like, the rain came. You know, it says the rain came, the streams rose, the winds blew. Hey, we don't know when it's coming in terms of adversity, difficulty, those dark seasons. We don't know when it's coming, Martin, but I'll tell you this, it's coming. It is 100% coming. And the question is, will you be prepared? I'm sharing this series because I want us to continue to say, let's, continue to practice and focus on fundamentals in our lives that will help us build a firm foundation. And I think this is a great passage to inspire us to do just that. Preacher, you go ahead and jump in there.
Absolutely. There's a couple quick things. First of all, it says put into practice. Every team practices, right? If you take the worst team in college football and the best team in college football and make them play each other, both of them could have had the exact same level of practice, right? But when you put it into practice, that's game time. And in the game, one would look like a much better execution than the other, most likely. And the teams that are worse are the ones who can't put it into practice or when real life happens. And so, and that's what I love about God says good, pleasing, and perfect will. It's three levels there to me. And our goal should be to get to that perfect will of God and not hang out at the good will or the pleasing will, but get to that perfect. Nick Saban used to say we want to practice so much that we can't get it wrong. And to me, those things kind of make sense from a practice football standpoint. Know the playbook, but that doesn't do you any good unless you can put it into practice in the game, not at practice. So we go out into the real world. Let's be those who have a firm foundation, and that firm foundation will result in us putting good things into practice. Tell them where they can find you, sir.
Absolutely. My son is sharing inspiring messages a couple of times a week. Austin's Inspiring Messages. If you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, go to Austin's Inspiring Messages. I manage his page, and you can reach me there.
All right. Hey, I'm Martin Houston. That's Scotty Hollins. Xavier Houston was here earlier. It's the Martin Houston Show powered by Box Eye Care every Monday through Friday from 6 to 7 a.m. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path. We'll be back tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel right here on your home for Alabama sports.